So I think it would be good to kick off part two by simply saying thanks to a viewer of mine who came all the way over from Twitch TV to watch on Justin TV. Thank you, Yabe. Thanks for being here. Today, again, just to go over from part one. Whoops. In part one, we looked at the new Riddick film. Today is a weekend wrap-up, the first part of a weekend wrap-up, where we look at film, where we look at the most recent movies to come out, see how they did. Gives us an opportunity to talk about movies in a review format without really having to look too deeply, because the problem with reviewing movies is you can't use too many snippets, too many clips, too many images from a movie without spoiling too much. So it's tough to take that deep look that we take at video games. So weekend wrap-ups gives us the opportunity to have a longer cast and look at several movies and keep things interesting for the viewers. So again, we looked at the new Riddick film. We weren't the biggest fans, or I wasn't. Keep saying we as if I actually have a decent viewership today to talk to, but we don't. It's okay. Right now we're just, again, assembling in archives. So, a weekend wrap-up's going to be a good, fun thing to have in the archive. For you, the archive viewer, if you're watching, thank you. And, again, just something to demonstrate what we can do. But for people who are archive viewers and want to participate on the weekend wrap-ups, when we have them in the future, we'll have both the Twitch and Justin TV chats open. And yeah, let's just get back to it. So, now we're going to be taking a look at Insidious 2, a movie I was actually deeply looking forward to. I loved Insidious. I normally don't like horror films. In fact, I especially don't like going to see horror films, horror thriller, suspense films in theater, because it's really not my thing. I especially don't like seeing horror thriller films by myself. Seeing a movie by yourself is a very interesting thing. It's kind of like doing drugs. I mean, I'm not saying I've done drugs, but it's the same concept. You sit alone in the dark. You don't know if you're really going to like it the first time you try it. And then if you like it that first time, you try it again. And yeah, so I go and see movies by myself because I do want to have movie reviews as a part of this thing. And moving back home after college, don't really have that many people who I can be viewing with, and I just gotta start my timer real quick to watch the amount of time I'm going for. Anyways, getting back to it, a little off topic, but it's okay. Fun things like that. Getting off topic, Insidious 2. Insidious 1 was a wonderful horror thriller film that really got back to the horror thriller roots. Gonna read a comment from Yabe here real quick. My friends found out I don't like horror movies. So it's because I get scared. Not scary at all. They are scream through the whole thing. Yeah, I'm not a fan because they just kind of make me jump. Like when I saw Paranormal Activity, I wasn't scared per se. It made me jump. But like when I saw it, for some reason that night when I went home, I was, and some people don't like paranormal, they're just like, they're not scary. To me, it's scary, like, in the sense that, like, I went home and just decided to sleep with a lamp on that night, and the night that followed. Some people get scared easier than others. Some people go to these kinds of films and watch them to just really kind of give their system a jump, a shock, because they like their nerves to jump and just kind of, like, be scared at things. Or because these are their kind of films, and some people do go looking for that kind of thrill, and say, well, this didn't really scare me, so I didn't like it as a movie. Personally, I think Insidious 2 is that film to see if you want to give yourself a system shock for this year, for fall of 2013. It was phenomenal. In fact, I personally think it was even better than the first Insidious. As I was saying, the first Insidious was it really got back to that kind of horror thriller route that isn't about the gore, about showing the gore, or just really the terror of being in a situation, kind of like in Saw or the Saw franchise. Insidious depends upon sounds and the suspense of what's around the corner, and things like that, just to really make you jump or just kind of have you gripping your chair at the idea of what could come out from behind the corner next, or the use of proper camera angles, and just again, really what was always at the root of proper, or to me, great horror thriller. So, Insidious 2 picks up almost exactly where the original Insidious left off. And not to spoil anything, but we'll simply say there was a murder of a seemingly central character to the franchise, but this Insidious almost seems to be building around said central character. Don't want to really spoil anything, but sometimes it's just hard not to spoil anything when it comes to talking about a sequel. Elise Rayner, played by Lynn Shay, wonderfully done. Actually, there are two actors for Elise Rayner, because what we look into is a lot of the past that has really led up to the events of Insidious, what is going to be a franchise now. You can actually read on many sites that that an Insidious 3 has already been confirmed, and I deeply look forward to it, and I'll definitely see that one in theater again, even by myself. So, I'm going to go ahead and take this down so I don't infringe on any rights. Whoops. And, as I was saying, so, the terror, or the issue that was left off in Insidious 1 was Patrick Wilson, the actor of Josh Lambert, the Lambert family. I actually did a mistype in the score that I'll note later on. Was he possessed after coming out of the spirit world? Again, not to really spoil anything, but cover your ears if you don't want to. Half-Life 3 confirmed is what Yabe says. I don't believe it. I want to see links. I want to see photos. I want to see proof. No, yeah. You can confirm things all you like, but yes, the producers for the series actually did confirm the film. So, again, deeply looking forward to that. Hope it doesn't become too annualized like the Paranormal franchise has become, which has kind of taken away from the experience that I thought Paranormal, the original film, was so great at. Anyways, Josh Lambert, was he possessed by a spirit after entering the spirit world to rescue his son? In the original film, the Lambert family's son, evidence. I'm going to provide Yabe with some evidence after the cast is over. He's asking, oh, hey, thanks, Yabe. He's posting some evidence. Oh, for Half-Life 3 confirmed. No way. Yabe, you're such a distraction for this episode, but it's great. Because, we're just keeping things on the fly, which is kind of how I like these first broadcasts to go. As you can see, I'm not as dressed up for my live reviews. I wanted to keep this one casual. Had some issues even starting this cast, but I'm going to definitely read that as soon as this cast is over, and as soon as I reset the site. The timer for the site broke today. Need my tux, that's right, man. As I was saying, so, in the original Insidious, the Lambert family had a spirit seem to be following them, an apparition, a demon of sorts that was following them. And it seemed to be after their son, who was in a coma. They didn't know why he was in a coma, but they had characters who came to them saying that they could help free their son. And that's exactly what happened. The character of Elise Rayner came to them, who had actually influenced Josh's life earlier in his life when he was a kid, and came to the family and said she could help. And that's exactly what she sought to do. She sent Josh to the spirit world to, again, retrieve his son, and successfully, I might add. But unfortunately, there obviously were consequences, and those consequences were this movie. And as I was saying, the movie is so wonderfully done by using just tonals and using really the setting. The setting of the film is actually in an older home, which allows for more creaking doors, more older floors, and just the idea of ambience, which really makes the better horror films to me. They even break into an older home which was abandoned to investigate what spirit is haunting them, or what the cause is that is haunting them, or more importantly, what killed Elise. So, going to go ahead and move into the score. There really isn't much more that need to be said without really spoiling the film too far. So, again, the weekend wrap-up format is a little rough. I'm trying to extend the weekend wrap-ups to be about 20 minutes each. This one's gone about, I would say, 12 minutes so far. Going to try and add on another 5 minutes. The Riddick one was a little less rough because had no viewers, had no one to talk with, so I could just talk about the film. But that's okay. So what's really important is the score, and this is the Riddick score. So this is the score for Insidious 2. Again, wonderful film. I normally don't like to call many things the best. I believe that is something that's really reserved for the best. And so I gave the movie a profound to a best, a 9.5 to an 11, because it really did some profound things. It turned back the clock. It looked back at the original film and really put some twists on what we thought had already been defined. If you watch the original film, there are some events in the first house that the family lived in, the Lambert family lived in, that really made the viewer jump, made you think, how did that happen? What did that? And kind of made you think that you knew the way things were, but instead changed it. And changed it in very, very clever ways, unlike a lot of other films or even shows have been doing. It's just like, oh, well, we used a very generic word, so we decide to change the purpose of the word anyways. And in this situation, it's really not the case. Instead, it's actually filling in a lot of blanks. And more importantly, this film filled in a lot of ideas or even questions some might have had about the spirit world. So, at the least, the horror fan who's a lot like me, who enjoys the use of ambience to really cause a scare instead of gore, you'll probably enjoy it at a profound level. You'll say that, well, it did some very interesting things. Again, for people like me, you'll call it the best. I thought it was wonderful, even better than the original film, and I can't wait for a third film. So, the pros. Much like the original Insidious, the film sticks to the wonderful classic formula. Ambience, noises, and simply suspense. Beautiful twists and additions in the interpretation of the first Insidious plot points make the series feel even smarter. And as if there is, or has been, a plan for more films since moment one. I seriously thought Insidious was just it. I didn't expect a Chapter 2. I hoped for a Chapter 2, and I didn't think that they would have a plan or even an idea of making this more than one film. Obviously, they left themselves with the devices to do so, and plenty of devices. But who saw this coming? I certainly didn't. And they really just round things out in a wonderful way. And more importantly, they give the Lambert family closure. As I point out in the last pro, it's not the Wilson family. I actually messed that up. It is the Lambert family. And it has a definitive sense of closure for them. It's not to say that they're done, but it's nice to know that it's not going film by film saying they're still suffering and you have to wait another year to 2 years to find out what's happened with them. There is a sense of happiness for them. I'm not going to say too much on that, but as I note, there is still room for more. So, the only neutral to really be had is some of the characters just feel goofy. The cameramen, the workers who helped Elise do what she did in the first film, have more of a role, a central, pivotal role within this film, and they do a wonderful job, I feel like, but their goofiness can kind of take away from some of the moments. And that, I feel like, would only be to some people. Personally, I was just at a middle ground on it. They weren't adding to it by adding more character, more different kinds of character, but they weren't taking away for me. I feel like some people will see that in both ways as well. And the only real con to be had is that, again, there are situations in horror thrillers where you will see a more logical step or progression, and the characters just kind of take a different approach. And it's just kind of like, really? Really? But they do it anyways, and this film, it doesn't afflict it too much. There are only one or two instances where you say to yourself, meh, really? But outside of that, beautiful, beautiful film, beautiful continuation within this franchise, and I seriously hope to see this turn into a horror saga. Looks like we might have a question from Yabe. Oh no, there's a bear trap. Let's run away into the meat grinder. Oh, it looks like that guy died over there. I'm going to go over there and investigate. That kind of situation. Luckily, that is not the kind of situation that Insidious 2 creates. It's rather, well, we have another option to escape, is a good example, but we're not going to use it. That's really the only example that I'd really like to give about the film. But, again, it's not really that kind of overly ridiculous, wow, I am a character who lacks logic, I'm going to, do something excessively stupid. So, again, 9.5 to an 11. That's actually the highest score I've given for a live review at this point. So, to round things out, Yabe, do you have any more questions? And again, thank you for being here and making this process so much better. Gonna go ahead and wait a second, see if he has anything to ask about the film. He's sending me a link. I'm kind of worried about taking links. Okay, continue to the webpage. I'll have to read this later, but he has nothing to conclude about the film. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to stick around with him and chat for a little bit and read about Half-Life 3. Deeply looking forward to that. If you're watching this video and you haven't heard about Half-Life 3 confirmed, I haven't read the link. I'm not going to post, unless it's an actual confirmed link, I'm not going to post it in the actual video archive, but we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching. I hope if you watch Insidious that it wasn't based on this review, because there was just a lot of muddled content in here. But thank you for enjoying, and there will be more weekend wrap-ups to come.